Hello, I'll try to keep it short. I am a 29-year-old female and have had no luck dating so far. I think it is because my looks are very average, even though I have already done much to improve. Dating apps are not working for me. I rarely get matches, and I always get ghosted or rejected after 1 to 2 dates. I've asked about 7 men out in public so far. They have all been polite but either rejected me right away, saying they were not interested or taken, or they took my number but never texted. Am I doing something wrong? I am aware of my looks, but I thought being proactive is a huge plus since men don't experience being hit on much. It was at coffee shops, parks. One was a cashier at my local grocery store, and one was a regular at another grocery store I go to. I just go up to them and say something along the lines of, "Hey, sorry to bother, but I thought you looked super cute. Would you like to go for a date sometime? Oh, by the way, my name is Name. How would you like to be approached? Is something about this wrong or creepy?" Story 1. Same way men ask out women. First make banter, see if you actually like their personality, and let him get to know yours. If banter is good, then you can ask him out if he doesn't already ask you out. If you randomly ask guys out, they will reflexively say no. Story 2. Might just be the wrong setting or timing. I'll be honest, if a girl came up to me and asked me for my number out of the blue, the first thing that would come to mind is, she's going to try to sell me something, isn't she? Story 3. You need to say what you actually look like. Average means a lot of things. Are you overweight? Do you have short hair? Lots of tattoos? Really tall? Do you have a large nose? What about children? Do you have them? Are they with you when you approach? Also, if you consider yourself a 5, are you aiming for 10s or are you trying for 4 to SIXS? Your approach is abrupt, but it's to the point, so that's okay. Some guys wouldn't like it. Story 4. Depends on where you live. Different cultures feel different about women approaching. Who the men are that you approach. How attractive you are from the scientific perspective. This includes factors like weight, hygiene, symmetry, health impairments, being a mother, a divorcee, or a widow. How you present yourself. Wallflower look. Edgy tattooed goth girl with many piercings. Well-off career woman. Skater girl. Ghetto attire, etc. Who you are asking in terms of context. Strangers, acquaintances, friends, people you know for a short time to marry you, people you know for a long time to go on a date, people with similar values and worldviews to yours. All these things can matter just as much as it matters how you are asking them out. Story 5. Are you shopping out of your range? Is the guy more attractive than you, is what I'm saying. If he is, he probably doesn't see you as a woman he'd date long-term. You may need to consider men who are closer to your own level of attractiveness. That's the only reason I can think of for why a woman would often not succeed in dating, in my opinion. She might not be as attractive as the men she's pursuing. Story 6. I think it's just been bad luck more than anything so far. I think you're going about it the right way. Don't give up. I would be very flattered to be approached like that, personally. Story 7. To be frank, yes, I think it is likely that either you are doing something wrong, or you are much less attractive than average. The way you describe your approach seems adequate but not ideal. It may be better to start with a little bit of conversation first. I don't think it's possible to diagnose online what may be going wrong beyond that. That said, I've seen the dating app experience of female friends of mine who are thoroughly average-looking and they effortlessly gain lots of matches. It may be that you're less attractive than you think, or you're aiming well out of your league. If you're overweight, that might be the thing to work on. Story 8. People are pretty guarded these days towards strangers. You'll have to engage in some hobbies that get you around other people. It usually helps people relax. If a lady walked up to me and offered her number, I'd assume she was going to try and get me into a pyramid scheme. This happened 3 times already. Story 9. I think there may be a couple of things at play here. First, asking someone out when they are working is a tough sell. Yes, they will take your number or give you theirs. They are on the job and don't want to upset a customer. Add to that the stress on the job that they deal with, and they may simply forget a fast interaction in the middle of their day, or be too exhausted. And this makes sense. We hear all too often how women, especially in hospitality like waitresses, never take being hit on seriously and are only nice because it affects their tips. Why would it be any different for men? Second, the approach. Looks matter less than social media would have you believe. Telling a guy they are cute is odd. That's not a compliment we are used to, and more significantly, an odd pickup for a date. I mean, how do you build on that? Great. She thinks I'm cute. What are we going to talk about over coffee? Instead, try striking up a small conversation. See if there is any type of connection, no matter how small, before asking him out. Otherwise, it may seem to be a waste of his time. How would you feel if the only criteria for men to ask you out were your looks? Third, expectations. You approached him, gave him your number. Did you tell him when you expected to be called or texted? Perhaps taking his number and asking when a good time to contact would be? Also, what are your expectations for contact? What constitutes being ignored? You talk or text a couple of times a day, and then nothing for a day or two. Could it be you are expecting too much contact too early and not considering his daily chores and obligations? Finally, don't sweat the reactions. Instead, try to use them as a mirror to figure out things for you to either work on or red flags to avoid for the future. Story 10. The way you're approaching could use some work. Just going up to people you find attractive without saying anything else, then directly asking for their number and nothing else, will give you a low success rate. You're basically inviting them to judge you based solely on your looks, which you said wasn't one of your strong suits. So instead, go in with a different mindset. Next time you approach someone you find attractive, try to figure out if you actually want to get to know them better. Have a small conversation, and if they match your vibe, only then ask for their number. This way, you can compensate for whatever you're lacking in the looks department by building a connection and showing more of your personality. This also lets them know that you're genuinely interested in them instead of trying to sell them something or it being some kind of prank. Story 11. I feel the exact same way. My dating game the last few years has been pathetic. I have a very hard time matching with men. I always assumed as well that men liked being hit on and women asking first. Story 12. As a guy, this is kind of a dream scenario that, for the most part, we wouldn't believe is real. I would think there was some catch or scam involved. Also, I am married, so those taken responses are plenty real too. Story 13. Honestly, the guys are probably freaked out or think someone's playing a joke on them or something. I have honestly never seen a woman do this, so the guys are probably taken aback also. You just walk up to them and blurt out that they're cute? Girl, you need some finesse. Do you have a mother or big sister or female friend you could get some tips from about this in real life? Story 14. Sadly, men usually never get approached, so it's a very unexpected event. Heck, if someone approached me and asked me out, I'd think I was getting pranked. Story 15. You don't chase butterflies. You build a better garden. You've been lucky that some guys have been saying no to you. The other option is men who don't like your look, but you asked, and they start dating you anyway without good intentions. My point is, can you improve your appearance, style, fitness, and social skills? That's a trick question. Men are visual, so you can. Unless you have an odor issue, that's likely the problem. We should all be on an eternal journey to improve both internally and externally. Sometimes people judge themselves based on intentions rather than outcomes. You can't just keep going on interviews. After a few rejections, you have to get someone to look over your resume and interview suit and start studying the company, not look for more interviews. Story 16. Yes, you are doing it right. At least as right as all of us are. It's just a numbers game. Don't let all the no's get to you. There will be tons more no's. By most accounts, I'm a pretty attractive guy, but I'm not going to be everybody's type, and I still get my share of no's. Plus, you never know who actually is in a relationship until you ask, so there are those no's. Story 17. Perhaps a little more banter first. Some woman randomly exchanging numbers is way out of left field for most guys. And the last time something similar happened to most of us, it was Jenny trying to play a prank on us to look cool at our expense in front of the other 7th graders. So chat them up a bit first so they know you're not bothering them, trying to sell them something, or some sort of weirdo. If you're constantly picking guys in relationships, then I guess you have a nose for guys that are desirable. Someone else saw what you're seeing and just happened to get to them and land them first. Story 18. Sounds like you are coming on super strong and asking people out just to be with anyone. I would get major crazy vibes if a 30-year-old woman I have never seen or talked to said stuff like you are saying you've been saying to these poor men. Story 19. 7 people is nothing. They could be in relationships or have other reasons to say no. Do an update when you get to 70 approaches. But also, if you are as average as you say, it's better to join some type of social club and flirt with someone you like to build attraction. Story 20. First of all, I commend you for your attitude. It's not common among women. My advice, since you're approaching men you see regularly, I would break the approach into 2 or 3 parts. First phase, introduction. Engage in conversation and give a compliment, then go about your life. Keep it short. Men don't get complimented often. He will definitely remember you, especially if you were looking good that day. Remember to smile. It adds at least 1 beauty point. Second phase, building rapport. If possible, build rapport with him. When you come across him, just say hi with a smile. Men don't get smiled at often. He'll be wondering, does she like me? And thinking of you. Here's a cheat code. Men love damsels in distress. If you can find a situation to ask for his help, that will be helpful. Like, can you grab me this thing up high or heavy? Or, do you think this tool would be good for this task at my apartment? At that point, some men may ask you out because you sent out choosing signals. But if not, here's the last phase. Third, asking out. Do not ask him on a date. Don't. Dates are serious business. Some men may feel uncomfortable embarking on a date with a girl they didn't choose. Ask him to grab a coffee to thank him for his help or something. Think of a reason. It doesn't have to be serious. Keep it light and just grab a coffee with a sympathetic stranger. And hopefully the rest will become history. Good luck. Story 21. I don't get why everyone is asking mean questions and making assumptions about your appearance. I've read some of your comments too, and as someone from the Netherlands, I agree we don't really do small talk here, yet I do think your approach might be a bit too direct as well. Approaching someone is always a difficult balancing act, but a little bit of introduction is necessary. Think of it as a 1-minute pitch. Try to make a witty remark or a nice comment. Get them in an optimistic spirit where they're more comfortable being approached. We men often say we want to be approached more, and that's true, but it's not like we just say yes to anyone who asks. Could just be you're unlucky and just not their type too. Story 22. Most likely they are too shocked to understand or didn't believe you had real intentions. Guys don't get asked out, so we look at that very cautiously. Story 23. 7 tries over the course of how many days, and we are expecting how many success stories. All guys have the friend who asks out an entire bar or club during the night. So 20 to 50, and maybe he'll get 1 yes, but that's all he wants. In today's market, you can send out hundreds of resumes and never even hear back from the employer. Dating seems to be like this now. Story 24. The bit about men never getting compliments or always wanting to be approached is always stated without the hidden context of, by people they want to give them attention. Story 25. In my opinion, it seems like you're not engaging them enough before giving your number. If you know the guy is a regular at the store, talk to him a few times over a couple of days or weeks or whatever, and just try to get their guard down a bit through multiple casual conversations over a period of time. You might even realize you don't want this guy to have your number early. Story 26. I'll give you the exact same advice that I give guys. Stop hunting for a date, exist, and find yourself in the vicinity of other people, and you'll naturally end up finding a good way to ask out. Nobody wants to feel preyed upon, and that's especially true of men, because we often get shoehorned into some multi-level marketing or gold digger scam by direct women. Even if it's not for a scam, it feels incredibly weird to be asked too directly. I had a woman downright ask me, "Do you want to have sex?" out of the deepest blue, and I never felt less ready for intimacy in my life. It can absolutely be a case of you being in the wrong country too. In the United States, men are absolutely not accustomed to women doing any asking out, whereas the United Kingdom and Canada are much less worried with these ideas of men ask, women respond. Story 27. I think you're overestimating your attractiveness to men. What we find attractive is vastly different from what women find attractive in themselves, which indicates you're asking out men who are way above your league. Men will date further levels down, albeit only for sex. But if you aren't getting any success on online dating and cold approach, it really indicates you're going for men who are way, way above you. Story 28. This is the weirdest post I have read in a long time. It feels almost surreal because, 1. I once did an experiment of posting a copy of my profile but with a photo of a rather unattractive woman and got over 100 messages. Not even likes, those were more, on the very first day. My profile never got so many in my entire life. I know a person who earns money by talking with men, not even going on a date, from dating sites, and then they send her money to buy stuff. And she isn't even attractive. Once I made an empty profile, no bio, not even a photo, just female gender, still got messages. I don't think that you are doing anything wrong. Actually, I would be really happy to see someone who shows interest in me and not just responds to my interest. But, considering all written above, there are several thoughts about your situation. 1. I think that you most likely live in a developed country where having casual relationships is a social norm, so that makes guys a lot less desperate for attention. So you need to do a bit more than just exist to get it. May I ask, who do you approach, both online and offline? Are those people with shared interests? Do you suggest discussing their interests or doing something with them? Because if people do not look for one-night stands, they will probably look for someone at least a bit similar to them. I almost never like profiles even of the most beautiful women because they don't have shared interests and I have no idea what to say to them and what to do with them. Many other men probably feel the same. So what is special about you, and do you inform people you try to communicate with about that? This is especially important on dating sites since the entire reason for their existence is to ease finding someone like you by filtering the profiles. About looks. Your own thoughts about it are rather irrelevant since other people will see you differently. I don't know why people don't just post a photo because there might be some detail they overlook that makes them less attractive. How is your communication going? Since you are able to approach first, I would assume that you might be good at conversations, but still, most women I ever met will forget about your existence the moment you stop writing to them. And if you see no interest from the other person, you always lose interest as well. Do you have certain preferences, maybe? Like, I am very into alternative-styled girls, especially goths and emo, but I also realize that my looks are less than average, so I have zero chances to interest any of them.